Women farmers, like Polly Apio, produce half of the world's food. Polly manages 10 acres of land in Uganda, in sub-Saharan Africa. She, like many small landholders in the region, face some serious challenges.
Yeah, like in my community, it is mainly women who do agriculture. Yeah. A higher percentage is women, and there's a smaller percentage of men also.
Smallholders are responsible for about 90% of the food grown in Africa, where the crisis of malnutrition is the greatest, and produce roughly half of the food supply worldwide. And that is why empowering smallholders to produce more food for local markets is foundational to global food security.
Visiting Australia with ActionAid, Polly met with other small-scale farmers to talk about life on the land.
Yeah, who helps you work on your farm?
Actually, we have what we call community labor, in the sense that the people, my community who live around me, the women, we dig, like today we go in one person's garden, tomorrow we go to the next one, because we cannot, we can't afford hired labor.
There are many causes of global hunger, which researchers and groups like ActionAid are working to understand and alleviate.
The world grows enough food to feed everyone. The fact that some are going hungry the cause of that is rooted in maldistribution of wealth and incomes.
In Africa, for example, only 1% of the land is owned by women due to laws and sociocultural structures that restrict women's land rights.
We have a big problem on land ownership. The land, the 10 acres, is not my personal land. Correct. That's my husband's land, which he inherited from his father. And traditionally, women in Uganda do not own land.
Other issues affecting daily life are access to equipment, loans, and ways to share information and farming know-how.
So we don't have enough tools, we don't have access and control of our land, we have no credit and financial services.
While Australian farms typically store water in dams to cope with drought, Polly's village does not have this security.
But in my community, water is a big problem. We don't have dams around. There are no dams around, so we majorly depend on rainwater. And when the rain disappears, that's the end of the crops.
Polly and I identified that water security is the most important thing for our farming enterprises. And we both face different challenges with that water security, but our farming operations rely so intensely on that water security.
All of these factors which limit food production can lead to food shortages and hunger.
Farming is also getting more difficult for both men and women smallholder farmers due to climate change, soil degradation, intensifying droughts, unreliable rains, as well as increasing price volatility. And as a result, food production per person in Africa is about 10% lower today than it was in the 1960s. And the fear is that as the impacts of climate change deepen, production per person could decline by as much as 50%, which would be absolutely devastating.
I think that there would be considerably more support if people just understood, say that 80% of farming work in Africa is actually done by women, and just how hard and harsh the conditions are under which they do it.
The community-run seed bank has meant better harvests for Polly, which has led to healthier diets and money for education and health services.
With the support from ActionAid, I have enough food to feed my family now. Nice. Yeah, and even I have 11 children. Even I sell the surplus for paying fees and for accessing health services.
We need to change the mindset We need to change the way people perceive and recognize and record women's labor. We need to see women as productive, as economic citizens.
ActionAid is working worldwide through the Fertile Ground program to meet the challenges faced by farmers like Polly. Their message is that helping women smallholders to farm helps everyone.
The network that is between women farmers in Australia, I feel that is something we have learnt and are going to use that to strengthen the peer-to-peer support and collaboration between women farmers in Uganda, so that they are able to identify with their issues, their problems, and collectively advocate for a change to government. Also sending across messages to the leaders in the world, because here the network is clear, everybody has access to email and internet. They should send as much messages as possible to the world to support small-scale farmers across Africa and the rest of the continents, because they bring the food to the table.